Welcome back to the Black and Gold Standard Podcast. And wow, what a doozy. Pittsburgh Steelers lose to the Cincinnati Bengals um, Thursday night, 33-31. Um, Very disappointing game, very disappointing performance, very disappointing coaching efforts on some parts. Um, Very disappointing from the defensive standpoint. Um, this was a game that I understand that Cincinnati Bengals they get paid too, and we understand that. But this is a game, like the announcer said, you win this game, you're leading your division by 3.5 games. You lose this game, you're leading your division by 1.5 games. And I'm just saying, I'm just and like I said, I am not one of those people that say Mike Tomlin need to be fired and this and that. But to me, if the Steelers blow this lead, division lead they have, with all the changes and all the players that they added to this roster, it's gonna have to be some serious questions. But until then, we'll deal with that later. So what I wanted to do is just do my weekly grades as far as with the performances of the players. So with that said, let's get right into it. Let's see here. Again, very disappointing. I mean, you had Joe Flacco. Man, he's been in Cincinnati less than a week. He's been there less than a week, and yeah, just terrible, just terrible. I'm almost a loss of words, to be honest. But with that said, let's get right into the grades. Starting off with the quarterback. I thought for the most part, Aaron Rodgers had a solid game. He had a solid game. Um, it's and we'll never really know. It was some things said that maybe he checked out a lot of running plays, turned them to passing plays, but I don't know, and I'm not really gonna get into that. Um, I did think that from an offensive standpoint, the Steelers maybe should have tried to run the ball a little more. And again, this could have been called, and maybe Aaron changed it. But like I said, we won't really know because at some point you have to start looking at your defense and say, hey, these guys can't stop anybody. Let's try to um, work some of this clock. But anyway, with that said, Aaron Rodgers, I gave him a solid B plus. Um, threw 4 touchdowns. I thought he had 2 interceptions that were actually the first one with DK, that was really more on DK. I mean, you just got to catch the ball, man. You can't you're a big guy. You can't be letting guys snatch the ball out your arms. So that one I'm gonna say that was more on DK than I'm gonna really say Aaron. The second one, there was no need for that. I mean, you just basically threw it in triple coverage, and that was all on Aaron Rodgers. But again, 4 touchdowns, so definitely a solid game. Running backs, again, we're basically just grading Warren, and I thought he had a great game. I mean, I wish they actually would have let him run the ball even more. And like I say, just eat up some of that clock because it got to a point that this defense, you could tell they were not going to stop anybody. So that's something you just have to go back and look at. But I thought for the most part he had some solid blocks. I mean, he had one block, man. He cut that guy in half. So in game well, he had a couple of good carries. So I thought the running backs as a whole, I gave them an A. I thought they they took care of their business. Um, I just thought Warren, you see 16 carries, man, that it should at least been 25. It should have been 25. And I get it. He's not really a back that you want to work like that, but I would have worked him Thursday night just to keep that defense off the field. Receivers, receivers, it's again, we're not gonna keep going over. I mean, the Steelers got to see what their situation is, but Metcalf needs some help. And yeah, the tight ends stepped up, but they need some help to make this offense explosive. Because as much as the tight ends did other night, I can almost say against a against a team with a better defense, they're going to live with that. They're going to live with taking DK Metcalf out the game and let's take our chances on these tight ends. Now, granted, maybe in the red zone, that's really a good matchup for the Steelers. Having them big guys out there, but moving the ball consistently, that's not going to work. That's not going to work against the good teams. To me, I mean, like I say, they'll be able to do some things, but the Steelers need to get another receiver. And DK Metcalf, dude, you cannot let some little guy. I mean, every corner he goes up against is littler than him to snatch the ball out your hand. That interception was on you. So with that, I gave the receivers a C. And again, it's just really great Metcalf. I know. I think who else caught a pass? I don't know if another receiver. Yeah. I think the kid. I can't even think of his name. I think he caught two passes. Wilson. I think Wilson caught two passes, but they don't even have another receiver that they can even use. Actually, I think Scotty Miller maybe caught a pass too, but they need to get another receiver in there to really be a threat. The tight ends, I mean, what can you say? All of them except for Hayward, and he tried to get Hayward. That was kind of would have been a tough catch, especially for him. Um, all those guys scored. Smith scored. Fryermuth scored twice, so he grabbed one for Hayward, and Washington scored. So I mean, they did their thing blocking. So the tight ends, I mean, that was simple. I gave those guys an A. Can't really ask for more than what they did. And to me, you thought maybe for a point, they got the game winning touchdown, but that didn't work out. The old line again, they did their thing. Um, they I don't really say they improved, but they had a solid outing. They still doing the bringing in the extra linemen, which that's a good thing. But I want to see these guys man for man, um, take care of their business and not have to have an extra guy out there. But not gonna complain. Not gonna complain. I thought those guys were solid, and I gave the offensive line a ooh. I don't remember. I think I actually really wanted to give them a B, but we'll go with the A. We'll go with the A for the offensive line. No sacks, but again, a grain of salt. That was a bad defense they went up against. But again, I mean, hey, that's no fault of theirs. and they did what they had to do. So with that said, the offense overall grade for the offense, I get offense a B. I thought the offense, when you scored 31 points, you would think that's enough points to win a game, especially against a team that had have been struggling like the Cincinnati Bengals were struggling. So I don't have no complaints about the offense whatsoever. All right, here we go. Here we go. And we're gonna make this one quick. The defense, um, they didn't show up. I don't know if those guys missed a plane or stayed at the hotel. I don't know. Maybe that was the University of Pittsburgh guys. I don't know who those guys were. I mean, did they leave them in Cleveland? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what was going on, but they didn't show up. They didn't show up. The edge is F. Um, as much as we want to get on Miles Garrett and always talk about, Miles Garrett didn't show up against the Steelers 2 weeks ago now, a week ago. They T.J. Watt did the same thing. He didn't show up. Herbert didn't show up. Highsmith didn't show up. Total F. I mean, you look at those defensive numbers: 470 total yards. Only got 2 sacks from a guy that we were all saying, hey, Flacco, I mean, he's a statue. He's going to be standing right there. You're going to know exactly where he's at. He can't move. Just to get 2 sacks, unacceptable. And I think those 2 sacks were like early in the game. A team that could not run the ball whatsoever. 23 attempts for 142 yards, a 6.2 average. Passing the ball, they were 31 for 47 for 342 yards and 3 touchdowns from a quarterback that, like I say, he just got traded there. He hadn't even been in Cincinnati a week yet. He played a game on that Sunday and came back another early week. So he was just there just over a week and put up 33 points against you. Just unacceptable. On the defensive tackles, again, Benton had the sack early in the game. I think it was on Cincinnati's first drive. And then after that, it was over. They couldn't stop the run, couldn't get to the quarterback, couldn't do anything, couldn't keep linemen and the guards off the linebackers. F for the defensive tackles. Linebackers, again, nothing. They couldn't stop the run. Like I said, with our linebackers, whenever you see our defensive line not getting a good grade and not doing what they're doing, you can 100% expect our linebackers not to do anything. And that's what they did. Didn't really get killed so much in the passing game, even though it was a couple of short passes. The Cincinnati hit that, maybe the linebackers, that might have been a hook curl zone. Not really sure. But F for the linebackers. They did nothing. Cornerbacks, I don't even want to get into these guys. It was it was ridiculous. And you know what? That performance they showed, they lucky Joe Burrow didn't play. They would have gave up 500 yards passing. Joe Burrow would have probably set the all-time passing record, whatever that number is. He would have set that against them. That's how bad they were. Jalen Ramsey, let me tell you something, bro. You're a physical corner. You are a serious chess piece when the Steelers play you right. But them days of guard being the number one corner and and calling out Lamar Chase, I mean Jamar Chase and T Higgins and all of them, dude, I'm gonna tell you that ain't you, and you know it deep in your heart, you know it. You know, and I get it. You're a competitor. You're a competitor, and you know how the mind work. Your mind says a lot of things. Man, there's a lot of things that I feel like I can still do, but I can't. You know, my mind say I can, but my body and my age tell me that I can't. And I'm just telling you, Jalen, you're not that dude, man. You're not that. Now you were that dude against the Cleveland Browns because the Cleveland Browns didn't have any stud receivers out there. But on the flip side of it, this is another big indictment on Joey Porter. You're the young guy. You're the guy that should be checking Chase, but you can't. And I'm quite sure you gonna be wanting $100 million contract here shortly. If the Steelers do it, they're crazy. From what you because all I see from you is holding. You hold every play. You can't even handle T Higgins. So Ramsey got he really ain't had no choice but to be locked up on Chase because Porter can't do it. Slay, I hate to say it, bro. It might and I'm quite sure he's going to retire after the end of this year, but it might be over for him too. It might be over for him. And I think the Steelers got one more beat down coming as far as with some receivers, and it's not going to be pretty against Detroit. It's not going to be pretty against Detroit either. These guys can't match up. They can't match up. And then again, a lot of stuff comes from that defensive line and our edges when they're not putting pressure and they're giving them quarterbacks a little extra time to sit in that pocket. Our corners they're not fast enough. They can't run with these guys. But with that said, I gave the corners an F. Safeties, again, really wasn't a factor in the running game. Wasn't a factor in the passing game. I did see Clark make a couple of good tackles for a second, and then he kind of disappeared. Elliott, I mean, I'm not really gonna get all on him. You know, he's dealing with some things, so his focus probably wasn't there, to be honest. Anyway, Thornhill, he didn't do nothing. So the defense as a whole did nothing, and I'm giving the safeties an F. So they pulled the trifecta there. They F's down the board. So this is very easy. Defensive overall grade, very easy. It was a F. Was a F. And this game is embarrassing. If I'm the Roonies, I am really disheartened about what I've seen Thursday night. And I know Thursday night is a tough game for the road team. But I will say this. If you got any situation, that was the perfect situation on Thursday. You had a team that was struggling. It's a division team, so you pretty much know this is not like I don't know, the Arizona Cardinals, a team that the Steelers only play every 4 years. You ain't really seen them or whatever. But this is a team you know what they're going to do. So honestly, even though I think Thursday games for the road team are bad situations, but if it was anything, this was the best situation because it was against a team that struggling against a division opponent that you know everything about, and on top of that, it was a short flight. I'm quite sure from Pittsburgh to Cincinnati is an hour, if that. So it was a short flight. So this is starting to show that this is not no bad luck. This is a pattern. This is a pattern, and this is where I think sometimes Mike Tomlin gets in his own way because apparently whatever you're doing, whatever type of preparation you're doing, it ain't working. But to me, this is a whole organization. This is where the Rooneys need to sit down with Tomlin and say, "Hey, we need to go over this. Is it a situation? Last week you had the Cleveland Browns game pretty much in the bag. Should you had take some of those older players out, rest those guys if you can. I mean, I understand you can't take all of them out at the same time, but get some of those guys maybe condense their snaps a little bit. I don't know what the situation is with the practices. It really, I think you're only really getting 1 day of practice, but it's something. Whatever the Steelers are doing, they need to look at doing it better. And then from the Rooneys, they got to look at, hey, do we travel different? Do we set up more massages? Whatever these guys need, something has to be done because this is a pattern now. So whatever's happening in here, it ain't working for the Steelers, and they need to change. Special teams, I gave them a B. Boz is Boz. I think Wakeman is not kicking as good as he was kicking last year, but still, he's okay. The return game, not bad, not bad. It wasn't. I actually had Williams breaking one. I thought he would have took one to the house today, but I mean other night, but he didn't. Um, the um, the returns were great, were okay. Special teams as a whole, Cincinnati didn't really get any big returns, so that the coverage teams are getting better. So I thought they were a solid B. Coaching, again, this is going to be real quick. Let's start off with the offensive coordinator, Arthur Smith. I thought he called a decent game. I mean, hey, whenever you score 31 points, you can't really look at the offensive coordinator and say, hey, he didn't do a good job. I know. I wish he would have ran the ball a little more. Now, was Aaron Rodgers changing plays? Who knows? I don't know if that was the case, but I just wish he would have ran the ball a little more, especially when you see your defense is not even competing. So maybe try to run the ball, eat up a little bit of clock. But other than that, that was really the only thing that I thought that Arthur Smith really didn't do too good. So with Smith, I gave him a B. I gave him a solid B. I thought he had a solid game plan. Um, he was going up against a terrible defense, and I really didn't see too much that he was really struggling with. The defensive coordinator, I mean, it's nothing to say. They were terrible. They were 100% terrible. The only thing I can say is they lucky Joe Burrow didn't play, or they would have got embarrassed even worse. That 33 points probably would have been 45, and he probably would have threw for 500 some yards. Other than that, that's about the only positive thing that came out of the defense. So definitely a F. the head coach. Again, this is a trend. I mean, this ain't even a trend. This is a solid situation where whatever Mike Tomlin's doing, it ain't working. It ain't working. And like I said, I know Thursday night games are tough. And the NFL really, I've always thought the NFL, if they're gonna give you a Thursday night game, both teams should be coming off a bye. But with that said, whatever you're doing, you need to try to change it because it's not working. It's not working. And this is $170 million defense. And to play the way they play, even though if they were tired or what, to play the way they played, that was unacceptable. So F for the head coach. Overall grade, to me, it should be an F, but I can't do Arthur Smith like that. So when you take the averages, they average out to a D. But that game was so embarrassing, and they should get an F. But like I say, Arthur Smith, he took care of what he had to do, and it was the other guys that struggled and failed to meet the standard of the Pittsburgh Steelers. So with that said, that's it. Steelers got another night game. They got a Sunday night game next week against the Green Bay Packers, which is going to be a tough game. Now you're going up against a way better defense. They're going up against a team that have players that can get to Rodgers and is going to test this offensive line. You got an offense that maybe don't have the big names as far as Higgins and Chase, but you got an offense that got solid receivers, a solid quarterback, a quarterback that can move, he can pack his bag up and run out of there if he needs to. This is going to be a big test, and this is the game that Rodgers is going to downplay it, but he wants this game, so hopefully he don't get out here and trying to force the ball and doing all this crap. And but we'll see. But this is a game that the Steelers can lose. Now, most of the time, when you look at it, when they get embarrassed like this, they come back and play a solid game. That's the positive thing. But we'll see. So with that said, you guys take care. And we'll talk to you next week, and hopefully the Steelers can figure out their situation, figure out this mess that they got going on, and get back on the winning ways and get back on the winning track. So until then, take care. I'll talk to you later. Bye.